All right, so we got this Coleman AT200B, and basically it's like a GY6 engine that's in it. The problem with these is the carburetors are junk. So these are the CV style carburetors that usually come on a lot of the GY6 engines. They work, but a lot of times people have issues with them. This has an electronic choke, and these are prone to fail very easily actually. We are going to be switching this to a nibbi carb. These are, it's spelled Nibbi. These are on Amazon. They're really nice. I've used a bunch of these already on a variety of different machines. So the only thing you have to make sure you get is the adapter that will go from here and to the engine side. And I'll show you a picture of that in a second. But with these, basically it's manual. So you have a manual choke. It's just slide, a big huge slide in the middle, and it pulls up and you got gas and go. That's it. Nothing crazy. On the bottom, it's also nice, is you just have 2 screws. That's it. You don't have to take out 4 screws. There's no mixture screw on the bottom. So when you're trying to adjust the carburetor, you don't have to tip it on its side, especially if there's not enough room in there. It's really frustrating to take the carburetor off and on so many times just to make a simple adjustment. And it can just take a long time. So also these have a polished internal. Here is the original carb, like I said, and this is kind of how it's sitting on there onto the engine. And the problem is there's a little bit of too short of a distance with the new carb. So that's why you're going to want to get a little adapter, and then has a little extension on it. This is also angled slightly higher, so we're going to try and get the carburetor up high enough to not hit the bottom of the case, or the top of the case of the engine. So with the new one, when you get in the box, you're going to have to get these separately. They don't come in as a pack, but you just have to measure, the distance between here, the 2 mounting holes. Make sure you get that right, so then it bolts on correctly, and then the correct inner diameter to fit this. All right, so on the inside of the carb here, you got your 2 different jets. And this is the little pack that I wanted to kind of bring up. They're like 10 bucks. It's through a different company, not nibbi. But yeah, it was like 10 bucks on Amazon, totally worth it. These carbs come with like 2 or 3 jets, but I would just be safe, just pay the extra 10 bucks, and it will definitely help you out, especially if you want to do some mods later. This is the way to go. This one is going to be going into this 4-wheeler. This is a 200cc, but it is a GY6 style. So there's the carb all in there. This is obviously the stock one. Okay, so I cracked this loose. So now we got some play in here. And now this will just come out. Boom. Also, there is this little boot here. Just be careful with it, but you can just pop it off. It can slide up. We can loosen this a little bit more. I just am in the habit of using these in case those don't work and I don't have to deal with it. Alright, this should just slide straight up. Alright, don't forget to disconnect your choke up here. It's tucked up in there. And we have a line, the vacuum line. And we're out. So we got this is gonna go on here. Slides right on nicely. Put our bolts or nuts back on. So here's the original cable. Obviously this is not going to work. It slides on there, but it's not the right type. So we need a new cable. That will work. So here's our other cable. Basically, this is your regular end that will go up into the thumb throttle, and then this is the different end. See how they're a little bit different? With these slide carbs, you have to have this really small end on there. So the small end is going to go inside the top of the carb like this. Make sure it's seated all the way down. Then you're going to put the spring over top. Make sure it goes right through. And then the next thing is this little plastic washer. And then you're going to drop it through this side and up to the top. It's kind of tricky. But yeah, you just want to make sure that that washer is sitting nice and flat and the cable's in where it's supposed to be. So there you go. Now the big side is going to go towards the idle adjustment knob, and it's just going to drop right in. So now we're going to do a test with pushing the throttle, making sure it snaps back down. Overflow tube, push it over to the other side, deal with it later. Now even this intake tube is not long enough. I want it to be a little bit longer, but this is what I got right now. All right, the carburetor's in. Now we're just gonna leave this off just to test it and see if it runs. All right, so now capping off the vacuum line. So what you can do is just a little piece of fuel line or a vacuum line that's already attached to something that's not super important anymore, because we kind of got rid of the rest of the old carburetor system. But yeah, I just put it over the nipple on there, and then this is just a screw just for right now. Obviously they do make little caps that go into these, but this is just something temporary just to make sure that everything is going to run perfectly. So we're going to try without the choke, and we're going to see if it runs. Didn't even choke it. I didn't really talk much about this. This is just where the airbox attaches to. Nibbi does make some different kind of air filters depending on what you're doing. If you want to try and make this work back to the stock position, you just have to cut the last inch off until you get to the corrugated section. The corrugated section is a little bit wider and it will fit over top of this. And then you just put a band clamp back on there and that'll work. So yeah, there's a few different options you can go with the intake side of things. There's different pods and pipes and all kinds of stuff. So you could even cut this halfway back, attach a pipe to this, and then it would route inside it and clamp it again. And that would work great, but this is what we'll do.